In today's video, I want to talk about some very realistic upcoming FPS games, and since they are realistic in many ways, they can sometimes turn to true dark horror real quick, and this is what this video is all about. Please note that when I say realistic, I'm not really talking about the graphics, but the atmosphere, the authenticity, and the horror that comes with it. So without further ado, let's get right into it with the first game. First off, we have 6 Days in Fallujah, the definite answer to a realistic FPS that is actually meant to turn into a true horror game, thanks to its unpredictable enemy AIs and its randomly generated missions and map. Before we get into that, at its core, 6 Days in Fallujah is a first-person tactical shooter that recreates true stories of Marines, soldiers, and Iraqi civilians during the toughest urban battle since 1968. In this game, you'll be able to carefully lead a fire team through real events from the battle in a massive and extremely dangerous city. Each mission that will be available to you will be extremely different and is narrated by a real person, while you experience the same actual real-life moments as if you were the soldiers back years ago. The game will have a complex procedural architecture technology which aims to deliver a more authentic wartime experience that will reshape the entire battlefield each time the game is played. Clearing an unfamiliar building or neighborhood is absolutely terrifying. You have no idea what's about to happen, and this is one of the reasons we experience such high casualties, the developer said. You never ever know what's going to happen in the next building or the next corner. You have to use sound to help yourself and your squad, rely on tiny whispers from the enemy behind a closed door, and don't get yourself killed. That is the true horror of this particular war. Every move changes everything. Another big challenge for our games was making it as easy for you to order your team to do something as it is to fire your weapon. Teamwork and coordination are essential for survival in hostile situations, and the team wanted to make sure they made this an integral and accessible part of the game. And signals are meant to be contextual so as not to confuse players, and seems to be of similar function to the ping system in games like Apex Legends, for example. If you point at a location, your team will know to go there. If you point at an enemy, your team will know to target them or lay down suppression fire, and etc. I'm super excited for this game, which is coming in 2021 to all consoles except the Switch. Next up, we have Project Wraith, a very interesting upcoming FPS game that wants to make a truly realistic and simple tactical shooter that wants to focus on the most important elements of a shooter with no microtransactions at all, no random skins and things like that. Just clean and classic gameplay that will accommodate both competitive and casual players depending on the modes available. This is also a game that will be making an appearance at My Chief's Game Expo on June 5th, by the way. Project Wraith will feature amazing gun and movement mechanics. The developers will reward player skills and won't penalize them for learning gameplay inside out. Alongside exotic weapon archetypes and specialism, they want to build depth to their game by having so much variety to learn and master. Project Wraith is a simple boots to the ground FPS game, no kill streaks, mines, or annoying things like that, they said. Just you and your gun. The game modes will be 5v5 search and destroy, which will be an exciting one, as well as a bigger 12v12 total war like domination, capture the flag, and thief deathmatch. They've also got tons of different guns and content plan. Wraith is said to be a pro-consumer monetization. That means no grind roll, no loot boxes, nothing unfair ever. People who purchase the game are entitled to free updates, DLC for life. You can even earn cosmetic skins without spending a penny. The devs are focusing on fluid controls and gameplay, easy to learn but hard to master. Next up, we have Ground Branch. This hyper-realistic tactical FPS has already released on Steam Early Access, but thanks to a new partnership, the future of this project is looking as bright as ever, with new maps, new weapons, and plenty of other new features. Now, before we get into that, in Ground Branch, you will play as the elite paramilitary arm of the CIA Special Activities Center and lead other special operation forces through challenging deniable ops all over the globe. With deliberate, calculated, and unforgiving gameplay, Ground Branch aims to be the true rebirth of the tactical realism genre of the late 90s and early 20s. Powered by Apex Unreal Engine 4, Ground Branch puts the tactical back in tactical shooter, no compromises. Ground Branch's unique true first-person system improves world immersion and awareness of your surroundings, providing zero disconnect between your view and your character's physical presence in the environment. The new partnership announcement will bring even more goodness to this already good game. Micropose will bring them some much needed stability as developed development continues in earnest towards V 1.0. The Micropose crew will also be handling a good chunk of the marketing and helping them extend their reach not only to their established community but also to new audiences out there. That means expanding the player base, generating more funding for development, and getting to where the developers want to be a little faster. As part of the partnership announcement, Micropose also shared a ton of new screenshots for new maps. Super excited for this game's future. Next up, we have Ready or Not, another game that just recently partnered with the publisher, and thanks to that, once again, this upcoming game will be releasing in a much better state and with many more features and maps. Thanks to this partnership, the developers are finally releasing development updates regularly, like gameplay videos and gameplay features. And my god, does it look like a realistic tactical experience. Preparation and precision will be key in this game, as any move forward runs the risk of a suspect flanking behind you unseen from the darkness, while car alarm triggers from shots fired. Many of the levels combine these two elements with long hallways and bullet-ridden rooms containing potential suspects, while others are in more open areas, which can also be extremely dangerous, depending on the equipment that you have. Ready or Not single-player and cooperative experiences are absolutely its central focus. As such, the game's artificial intelligence has been built from the ground up to be intelligent, adaptive, and reactive. Suspects dart from cover to cover, flank sedentary players, and utilize their surroundings and civilians to get the upper hand. Any encounter with a suspect has the chance to be a lethal one, and a lack of awareness, perception, or preparation can mean failing a mission, or not making it out of one alive. Civilians, hostages, each other, environmental objects, and more can impact the situations you'll go up against. Every encounter should be treated as a unique situation with its own necessary preparations, tools, and risk. Next up, we have Crossfire X Campaign. Now, if we have to talk about an upcoming game with realistic graphics, Crossfire X Campaign is a game that comes to mind. Not only is it developed by Remedy, creators of Control, Alan Wake, and such, but this campaign is something completely different than its multiplayer element, which is more on the competitive side. The campaign will feel like a more realistic Call of Duty story and will include awesome action sequences with realistic outcomes and such of a near future setting. Operation Spectre, the campaign story, is told from the perspective of Blacklist, one of the two warring mercenary factions players will meet in both campaign and the multiplayer experience. Operation Spectre is set in larger-than-life locations around the world, including Asia and South America, and introduces players to several key characters while exploring the backstory of the Blacklist global risk conflict. You'll go up against very strong enemies in many different parts of the world, each housing beautiful and destructive locations. You'll be equipped with destructive weapons too, of course. The Crossfire X campaign will be available in a premium battle pass at launch, in addition to a variety of modes in the free-to-play multiplayer experience. Finally, we have Land of War: The Beginning, a fully polished project created to be as accurate and immersive as the battles it portrays. This game is not so much realistic on the graphics side, but the setting and what happened is. Land of War is the world's first-person shooter game fully dedicated to the outbreak of World War II in Poland on September 1939. It portrays the opening episodes and battles fought by Poles during the German invasion. Land of War is absolutely the first video game to concentrate on this period of war. This early stage war was completely omitted until now. Land of War also explores weapons never or rarely used in games before. Some of those weapons were prototypes only at the start of the war. Others were only used in the first chapter of World War II and were not used later as the conflict spread across the world. Use this gear, learn about its unique abilities and stories behind it. The creators of Land of War are fanatics of classical World War II shooters. As a result, their product reflects the principles underlying some of the earliest games in the genre: clean and simple gameplay with intuitive steering and plenty of enemies to kill. Alright guys, that is all that we have for now for upcoming FPS games that are as realistic as possible. If you'd like a part 2 of this, of course make sure to subscribe to stay tuned and let me know in the comments. Talk to you all very soon. Thanks to Richard Westfall, Bruce Wayne 236, Thunderbeard, Kian Zofagari, Rickno23, Diamond Hunter 45, Themistocles, Space Beer Gaming, and Rush Singbati for being a master member on the channel. You can become a survivor member for as low as 99 cents only by clicking the join button below. This will support me and the channel as a whole to continue making videos on the games that truly deserve it.